back to my channel, and today we are going to be talking about episode 6 of Lovecraft Country. This episode is called Meet Me in Daegu. This episode is about the Korean lady that we've been seeing a little bit here and there in the first episode when she was coming down from the UFO, and the second episode when Atticus was fighting her in the room, and then now we actually get to see her story, how Atticus knows her, and what this lady is and who this lady is a part of the story. So this whole episode is going to be mostly based in South Korea. So the first part of the episode is starting in fall of 1949 in South Korea. We're introduced to the Korean lady is Jaya, like Jaya, so it's J-I and little /A-H, so Jaya. It looks like she is in medical school as a nurse. They're just like working on cadavers, basically just trying to, you know, do nursing stuff. She is with this lady called Umi, which is her mom basically, and she was telling her, her mom was telling her like, tonight you need to bring home a man and stuff, and you know, for different cultures having a man in the house is like a necessity for people. So that's like initially what I thought it was going to be, like she just needs, you know, to bring a man home so she can get married, and I was totally wrong. So Gia is speed dating. She goes to like the speed dating match, and it's like you sit down in front of a partner and there's only like a minute to 3 minutes that you get to talk, and if you have some sort of connection you will like move on, or like you put a little mark saying like, oh, I want to talk to this person more, and if not you put an X and you basically move on to the next person. She is doing a speed dating round and she's just like very awkward. None of the guys are really talking to her. They're just like looking at her all weird and stuff, because she mentions a lot of Judy Garland. In the beginning of the episode she was in a movie theater watching a Judy Garland movie. I'm not sure what movie it was, but she was watching the movie in a movie theater, so she just kept talking about Judy Garland and like Americans and all this kind of stuff, and a lot of the South Koreans are like, why are you talking about Americans and not about like where we live, whatever. So she finally like talks to this one guy, and like she mentions Judy Garland and stuff, and the guy was actually interested in it, and like he liked Judy Garland, and they were talking a little bit about it. So she's like, oh wow, like I finally have a connection, and then he marks her a no. So I don't know if it was the way she looked or whatever, but one of the girls that's in her nursing school with her name is Young Jae Uni, I believe. Sorry if I mispronounced stuff, but her name was Young Jae Uni. She was basically like holding her hand after the speed dating match and comforting her in a way that, you know, come with us, like hang out together, the three of us. I'd rather hang out with you than this guy, whatever. At first, like you got the little connection, like, oh, maybe they're interested in each other, because the way she was like rubbing her hand was kind of sensual in a way, so I was like, oh, maybe they'll be together at the end or whatever. So she goes out, Jaya goes out into a bar, I believe, because she still needs to bring home a man. Like she thought she was going to bring home the guy that's speeding around, but she didn't. So she had to go to a bar to find a man. So she brings this guy home that she just finds randomly at the bar, and you know, she brings him into this big room with a bed in the middle, and he's all excited, starts undressing and stuff, and you know, they start doing the thing, and then all of a sudden after like he's done, you see this like hairy thing coming out of Jaya. I'm like, oh great, this show literally cannot be normal any second, like what's gonna happen? So this like hairy leg thing comes out of her and impales him from behind, and then like more stuff comes out of her, and like this giant thing out of her mouth impales him in the mouth, and then the one that really got me was that out of her eyes. So then all of a sudden the things come out of her eyes to impale this guy, and it's just like holding him up in the air, and she's just looking at it, and then all of a sudden he combusts. But then we see all this hairy tentacle stuff coming out of her, and it's just really weird. So then he literally exploded, and there was like blood everywhere. And then her mom Mooney comes in and was like, you know, you need to do more. Good job, but you need more. So then I'm like, okay, maybe she's just a monster, and the more people she kills, like the more body count she gets. I don't know. So it was weird. So then after that, we skip over to summer of 1950, and this is when the American soldiers are coming into South Korea for the war. Basically, we're just seeing like the soldiers coming in and making their way through Korea, and get glimpses of her absorbing more souls, because I guess she has to get to a certain number. So she's like absorbing the souls of soldiers and everything like that. But when she absorbs the souls, she sees their memories, all the memories they've ever had. She like sees, I think that's why it comes out of her eyes, if she can like see through their eyes or something, I don't know. But she's looking at all their memories, and the first guy that she combusted that we saw basically was showing him with his wife and then with his daughter. So I'm assuming he was still married when all that happened, but they're never going to find his body because there was no body to be left behind. So throughout this we start to get a picture of what she is. place, and she's called Kumio, and I guess it's like a 9-tailed fox spirit. So this is what she is, Jaya, that's what she is. So that's basically what she is. So we'll learn about like why she's that a little later. But then we go back to young Jai and Jaya, and they've like become friends. They're walking around town together, and then they're in the streets with the soldiers, and then they see this like horde of people, and they're taking this guy and they're calling him a communist, and he actually gets lynched in the street. And then Jaya basically mentions to young Jai, like, I know that you and the doctor have been talking secretly basically about like communism and stuff like that. So she's like, you know, don't talk about that in public, because obviously like I literally just got lynched in front of everyone. So communism was not looked upon well around that time. So it was kind of a connection, I guess, for where our characters are in the US getting lynched, and then in South Korea the communists are getting lynched as well. So then we go back to Uma, her name's Uma. We go back to Uma and Jaya. They just killed another guy. Basically they're doing it together in a way. They're talking about like why she became the thing, and I guess Uma's daughter died, so she went to go talk to basically a witch to get her daughter back and basically summon the spirit, which is the Kumio. So basically Jaya was talking about Uma's husband, and that Uma's husband like loved her, and Uma was saying like, well, you don't understand like why that love isn't appropriate. So it kind of hinted at Uma's husband, which was the father of Jaya. There was some child abuse in there, and basically she was saying that I killed him, so I see all the memories that he had. He actually loved Jaya, and like you let all the stuff happen, because she was like singing this song and she was like, see, like you're becoming my daughter again. She's like, oh no, I didn't get that from your daughter, I got that from your husband every time he was raping Jaya. So it was pretty, you know, crazy. The deal with the witch is that Jaya has to kill 100 men in order to become herself again, I guess human or something like that. So Kumio spirit looks like her daughter, but obviously is a spirit, so it's not her daughter 100%. So Uma's trying to get her daughter back, like with personality and everything like that. We go back again to the nurses, and they've been taken by American soldiers to their base, and basically saying like, one of you is a communist spy. During this shift that you guys work, intel has been getting out of the hospital, so like who's a communist spy, like you need to, you know, tell us who it is, we can basically kill you. And then we finally see Atticus, like why he's in here. He was in the war. So Atticus comes, and he's a private, so he's pretty low on the board, and basically goes and shoots one of the women that were one of the, you know, the nurses there. So we got to see that side of Atticus, where he's mentioned before in the show that he's done horrible things. Well, I'm pretty sure this is what the horrible thing was, killing innocent people. So young Jai confessed to being the communist spy because they were going to be going after Jaya. So then they take her away, and then it goes into fall 1950, and Jaya's still working at the hospital, but she turns around and she sees Atticus there, and of course she's engulfed with rage, because that's the guy that she saw kill her friends and take young Jai. So she's like trying to plot a time to kill him in a way. So she basically goes and tells the mom, I found my last person I'm gonna kill, like I'm ready to do it. But then of course Atticus, being the Atticus we know in the show, kind of wins her over in a way. Like he's not this crazy murderous person that she thinks that he is. They just like bond over this book that they read together. She's like reading it to him because his glasses broke, so they're bonding in a way. So Atticus and Jaya are just getting really close together, and basically start dating. She goes to the base because he like calls for her, and sets up this whole personal movie premiere for her, and it's a Judy Garland movie, so she's like all, you know, happy. Like he's a very romantic guy and very nice and everything like that. And Atticus turns out to be a virgin, and he loses his virginity to Jaya. So that's the first person that he had sex with, was Jaya. And then we go over to winter 1950. So these are like by the seasons, I guess. Atticus and Jaya are living their lives, like they're having fun, they're living together, they're basically in love. Atticus gets a letter that he can finally go home, which of course during the war, if you get a letter like that, like you want to go home. He invited her. They ended up having, to me it looked like goodbye sex basically. While they're doing it, Jaya can help herself, and she started turning into the 9-fox spirit and impaled Atticus, and then started seeing his memories and stuff. Or she saw him torturing young Jaya, like pulling out her teeth. So that's another thing he probably, you know, regrets doing. She saw the future. We saw Letty in the vision, some random girl probably that he was messing with in Florida when he was in Florida, and then his death, and she got freaked out. Of course he got freaked out too, but she was freaked out because all the men that she did that to, she was the reason why she died. So with Atticus, she saw his future, so she knew she wasn't gonna kill him, but she she did see Atticus's death. And we kind of see it, he's like kind of strapped up to something, and I'm guessing something impales him around the stomach area, so that may be how he dies, but that's basically how we got a glimpse of. Of course, he's freaked out, like what just happened, who are you kind of thing, so he leaves and runs home, and so he's like gone. So Jaya go into this forest to go meet the witch though, and while they're in the forest she sees a fox, and that's kind of like the connection that she is the fox spirit, so she just saw basically a fox. And the lady was just doing more magic and saying, like, she just wanted answers like why I didn't kill Atticus, like why am I feeling love, stuff like that. She's like, well, there's more death in your future, and that's where the episode ends. My questions for this episode was, who is the lady that Atticus slept with? That wasn't Letty, it's probably just a random girl in Florida, but you know, sometimes people come back, so she may come back, I don't know. And then what exactly is a Kumio, and like, is it a past and future seer, or just a past seer? Because she was kind of shocked as she saw his future, so maybe it's just the past. Where do the souls, and then where do the souls go after she consumes them? Are they just a part of her and she sees the memories all the time, or do they just like disappear after she sees the first memory? But that was episode 6, very, very good. It was cool, I guess, to get a different location than we usually did, because it's usually always in Chicago or around Chicago. So it was really cool to go all the way to South Korea to see that location and that scenery. So the next episode is going to be about Hippolyta after she finds Ori that she found all the way back in episode 3. So we're finally going to see what's going to happen with her with that machine, but I'm so excited to see what happens, and I hope you guys enjoyed this episode, and I'll see you next time. Bye.